person.
Here I am.
Good.
All
So
right.
getting ready for the holidays, are you?
Oh, yes. Yep. Be a good time. How about you?
Oh, well, my brother-in-law is on his way from he comes from New Jersey every year. Um, he drives in and spends Christmas with us, and uh, he's a farmer in New Jersey.
Nice.
Farmer, beekeeper, and attorney.
Oh,
He's a Renaissance man. He's a
jack of
very
all
interesting
trades.
guy. Huh?
A jack of all trades.
He's also a mayor of a town, and he's legal counsel for a couple of townships, or at least one township. So he knows local government.
I guess
And
so.
so I often call him, and he says, "That's nothing. You should see what goes on here."
Oh,
No, actually, I think I've um, upped the ante a little bit on municipal behavior. But yeah, so thank you, Jamie, for coming. Bill, good to see you, Bill. You're muted.
Now
Yeah,
it's
there you
good to
go.
be seen.
How's the weather down in Arizona?
Oh, it's rain. Um,
Rain. Well, that's good, right?
Actually, it's really good because it's been about 2 weeks of 70 plus 70, upper 70-degree days. It's been really sufferable.
Ah, yeah. Okay. Well, thank you for not uh, poking it
No,
into.
hey, I'd like to make a few snowballs one of these days too. So
Well, you can have all the snow in my yard to do that with.
how much
We
have you
had
got?
we had quite a snow. That 10 inch or whatever it was
Yeah,
kind of hit us fast and hard. And but I guess it's going to get up into the 40s, so maybe it'll all melt.
yeah. That ice rink is going to be as difficult this year as in the past, I'll bet.
So I'm hoping we get one more person, um, and we'll have quorum. I don't think Nadeem can make it. Jeremy said possibly, and then we have Mike, right? And I haven't heard from him. So I hope this isn't a bust. I want to say I um, apologize for putting it so close to Christmas, but um, I look back and all the kind of traditional dates, and it seemed like the fourth Tuesday was what the PHS had traditionally moved on. Oh, here's Jim Rogers. Yeah, the other person is Jim, and Jim is here. Excellent. So we do have quorum. Happy holidays, Jim. Welcome.
Happy holidays, everybody.
Okay, Katie, as soon as you can get things going, we'll start.
I am up and ready when you guys are. I just
Okay.
wanted to confirm you said that Nadeem would not be here today, correct?
And Nadeem told me he was going to be out of town.
Okay.
And then Mike Schmedlick was, I think, the last person who I have not heard from, and I'm guessing he probably was out of town. Let's see if he shows up.
All right, sounds good.
Jeremy said a maybe, and so we'll see.
I'm here.
Oh, Jeremy, excellent. Good to see your
Snuck in
smiling
there.
face.
Perfect.
And look at those trophies behind you.
Well, I just took possession of this one. We each get it for about 5 weeks, which was from the July 4th water fight where we hold the hoses.
Congratulations.
Each
Just in
team
time for the
member,
show.
each team member gets it for about 5 weeks, and my time started about 2 days. Dietmar brought it over to me a couple days ago, so it's mostly a conversation piece for client Zooms because everyone has been asking what this giant trophy is for. So thank you.
Well, you're welcome.
Yeah.
That's great. Congratulations. I did compete in that one year and we got trounced, as I remember. But,
Well,
that's
I was a minor part of it, but thank you.
well, it takes a village to make
Yes,
or
good
it
one.
takes a number of people to make a team. So,
Yes, it does.
okay. Katie, we ready?
I think so. It's my first official Zoom meeting, so if
Okay,
I mess
well,
something
we'll-
up, just feel free to holler at me and let me know what I need to do.
We'll help you along. No worries about that. Okay, I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Village of Shorewood Hills Public Health and Safety Committee. Today is Tuesday, December 23rd, 2025. It's 7:02 p.m. And we have myself, we have Rob Stanky, we have Jeremy Tunis, we have Bill Meal and Jim Rogers. We have quorum. Nadeem Afghan is excused absence. Mike Schmedlik, I haven't heard from, but given the date, he's probably out of town. So, so that's the roll call. I didn't want to put it right on you, Katie, because you may not be familiar with the name. So, the one thing I will ask you is, are we in compliance with open meeting law, and has the meeting been properly notified?
We are open and within compliance of the meeting law, and all meeting has been posted in all places.
Very good. Thank you, Katie. The first thing I'd like to do is approve the minutes of September 1st. I know it's been a long time since we've met, and as you know, that was at the request of our staff because there's, as you know, so much going on in the village that they were just overwhelmed with everything and asked us where possible in meetings, if we could hold back, then we would. Rob, do you have something to say or to add? Go ahead.
Oh, I just wanted to get the ball rolling on moving to approve the minutes.
Move
Oh,
approval.
okay. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, so we have a motion. We have a second from Bill.
Yep.
Any discussion? Jim, did you want to discuss, or all in favor, raise your hand or say aye?
Aye.
Okay, we have some compliance there. Any public members? I don't see anybody online. Do you see anybody, Katie, that might be on electronically that I don't see? So I guess we can move beyond the minutes. Okay, well, you got the gist of what I had to say. Tonight I am honored. I think we should all be honored to have our chief, Jamie Weitzel, here. I'd asked Jamie if she could, provide an update of what's going on in the police department. We haven't heard from her for a while, at least the committee hasn't, and give her a chance to tell us how the committee can better serve the police department. And I think also we'll have some discussion about a proposed canine unit. So with that, I'll turn it over to Jamie. If Jamie, you want to go ahead.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you everyone for having me. I appreciate you guys taking the time today to meet so close to Christmas. So I definitely appreciate that. So we'll just start from a staffing standpoint. We were fully staffed for a while. However, today we did get a resignation from one of the officers. So his last day will be December 30th. I'll be posting that internally for 5 days to see if there's someone part-time that would want the full-time position. If that doesn't get filled, then I'm going to have to post on WileyNet to hopefully get a qualified candidate. I think the biggest thing that, as the chief, I've just celebrated my 1-year anniversary. So the biggest thing that I am trying to do is to really increase our community engagement. Last year we started a meet and greet. I know some of you came out and I think we had a pretty good turnout. So we're going to continue to do more of those. Looking forward to 2026, I want to do Coffee with a Cop, hopefully in February or March. Just give people an opportunity to meet the officers that work for the village and have the officers get to meet the residents. We're going to continue to do some more meet and greets and to do some other community focused events throughout the year. So we're really looking forward to that. On Halloween, I just wanted to focus a couple of recent activities that we participated in. On Halloween, October 31st, our officers partnered with the Shorewood Hills League for the Halloween event at the Hayden House. We handed out candy, little basketballs, magnets, slap bracelets, and glow sticks. I think it was a really good opportunity for us to connect with the kids and the families, and everyone really seemed to enjoy it. December, we did Shop with a Cop. We did 3 kids, took them to Target, and then after the shopping experience, they went to the VFW, wrapped presents, had pizza, and that's just one of probably our favorite event that we do. And then actually last night, Katie was there. We held our annual gift wrapping event at the Ronald McDonald House. For 20 years, I've put together the wrapping at the Ronald McDonald House where everyone from Village Hall, the police department, staff get together, wrap presents for the wonderful families at the Ronald McDonald House. And it's really just a great bonding experience and a great example of teamwork across all departments. So as far as ways that you guys can help continue to support the police department, I mean, we can have open and honest communications with that. We're really trying to get our community bulletin, monthly bulletin out there to the residents. I think we've got a lot of positive feedback. I know, Bob, you've heard a lot of positive feedback about the bulletin and how people don't realize how busy we actually are. So if we can get that out to more people, more residents, I think that's only gonna to help address what we do. Also, this is the time of year where people are leaving for vacation. So just wanted to remind people that we do vacation checks for people while they're on vacation. So you don't have to worry about that. We'll take care of it. You just have to fill out a form. That's pretty much all I have for staffing and police department updates at this time. Let me know if you guys have any questions.
Okay, any questions for Jamie? Go ahead, Jeremy.
So just, I know we always try and kind of keep in the back of our mind, there's so many different variables on why people, move on in different capacities in their career. Did you have a sense from the individual that resigned where he or she was heading next, or any of the reasons behind it?
Yep, so he'll be moving on to a private sector job where he'll be making $20,000 more than what he could
Right.
make here.
Right. Like in private security, basically.
Yep.
Got it. Understand.
Well, go ahead, Rob.
Yeah, I have 2 questions, and one is kind of related to what Jeremy just asked. And so the village studied the issue of employee retention, both within the whole village staff, but also within the police department. There were a few recommendations that the village was looking at. And so I just was curious, Chief Weitzel, do you feel like the efforts that the village took to work on the issue of employee retention, have those been successful in your department? Do you anticipate, that things are better now than they used to be?
Great question. So the recommendations from the ad hoc committee, and we can discuss that more in the next portion of the agenda, but the recommendations were pay raise to increase compensation, and another recommendation was to move forward with a canine proposal, canine unit. So we did get an 8% raise for our officers this year. So in 2026, they will be getting an 8% raise. It's better than what it was, and we're not going to complain. But we're not quite where we need to be. But I think it made people happy that the village is seeing that there is a need for this, and they're trying to make every attempt to make it right.
And that was the committee that was like a corollary of our committee, correct?
It was an ad hoc committee to look
Yeah.
at police
All right.
retention.
Yeah, I remember being at some of the meetings. It just feels like a while ago, but yeah, I definitely recall the pay scales that we had been previously paying didn't seem to be competitive at all with, the local other law enforcement agencies, and sounds like still obviously for the private sector as well, but
Rob, go ahead. You done, Jamie or Jeremy?
yep.
Yeah, my other question relates to traffic enforcement. So I know the residents were very concerned about this, over the last couple of years. And obviously, when you became police chief, that was one of the things that you wanted to emphasize that you were hoping to address. And I was just wondering if you could just briefly talk about what your department has been doing on that issue.
Great question. I think we have addressed quite a bit of the traffic enforcement and speed enforcement. I would get emails, probably 2 or 3 emails a week requesting extra patrol in certain areas of the village, problem areas in the village. And we really tried to hammer those specific areas that we were getting complaints on, as well as problems that we knew where the issues were. Like, we always know there's going to be speeding on Lake Mendota Drive. We always know there's going to be speeding on Edge Hill. So as a department, we've really tried to increase our enforcement, and I think we've done a really good job with that. So I encourage all the residents that if you know a problem area that you would like to see more enforcement or speeding, or want to see a speed board put up, reach out to me and we'll take care of it. We will try our best to get going, but I really think we have addressed that issue, and I'm not getting the emails like I used to. So I think that's a good thing. I think that means we're doing our job.
Well, I would add, as chair of Public Works and this committee and being on the board, that my sense is that, Jamie, since you've taken the helm, that these issues you've dealt with them, and you've done a great job working with the community. The enforcement part of it, I don't hear near as much about the speeding drive-through. There's, people are always gonna say that somebody's going 3 miles an hour too fast in front of their house, but it seems to me that the general tenor of the village is that this is not as much of an issue as it was. So I think kudos to you for addressing this. And yeah, that's really all I wanted to say. Jim, you have your hand up, I think.
Yes, and can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
I would agree very much with Bob for just wonderful, all the initiatives. Probably underlying all is, are you getting enough time for health and wellness for yourself and staff, especially when you're short, so you're not being overwhelmed, because that is the number one thing to be able to take care of first before taking care of everything else. I happen to have been just looking back at Sue Reisling's 2017 report. There are a variety of items that were touched within that. Most of the items were simply up to the chief to be able to go ahead and put in place, the new chief at that point referenced, to be able to go ahead and put in place for them. Are you feeling pretty good with being able to put in place the structure that you want, knowing that, boy, just down one staff member is pretty significant for making everything work well, and then modifying it just so that you can be pretty bold to implement items that would include that? And then the second item, I'm just glancing at a note that I jotted down for a couple of items. Are you feeling pretty good about policies and procedures, knowing that they are always in the process of being updated with easy access to all? And we no longer have last minute requests, third, with capital equipment for this vehicle is now down. We need to approve this or recommend approval next week. Are you feeling okay for the capital improvements being budgeted for in the long term? So touch anywhere where you like, Chief.
Great questions. I'll start with the first one as far as staffing goes. Even just being down one officer is significant if we're going to maintain our 24-hour coverage. With that, unfortunately, our sergeant is going to have to move from his power shift to plug into a rotation that this officer is now vacating. So our sergeant is going to be away from the dual supervisory role of seeing different shifts. He's going to have to be just on one shift now. So just being down one officer is significant. And we have to be mindful of vacation that people have already requested. We have to be sure that we give those officers those days off that they request. So there is going to be some overtime. We're going to try everything we can to be mindful of the budget. And like you said, Jim, it's just mental health is the biggest thing for everyone. And I really try to hammer that with our officers. I think that's the most important thing. So it is going to be a little bit of a struggle, but we'll get through it. We've been in worse situations before. But we'll get through it. The second one, the policy and procedures, that's a constant review that I'm always doing. It's a never-ending process for the policy and reviews for me. But we try to go through them once a year, especially the big ones like vehicle operations, the defensive and arrest tactics, deadly force, that kind of stuff. We always want to make sure that we're constantly reviewing that. I've got a great lieutenant and a great sergeant that help out where they can as far as policy and procedures, and they've really stepped up to the plate to help me and take that load off of my plate. So I just can't say enough good things about the staff that we currently have. We're very lucky to have them. And then the third, the CIP, I know the board just approved the CIP for 2026. We just got a new squad car that we just got approved that will probably be in February or March. So as far as vehicles go, knock on wood, we're in good shape right now. But yeah, constant planning of the CIP and trying to plan for long-term budget is a little bit of a struggle, but we're working through it, and Brian and Julie have been fantastic helping with that. So right now, things are looking pretty good on our end, at least.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Jamie, could I ask about, has the general environment improved or maybe not improved as far as officer hiring? Now, the officer that left, that was an officer we trained to come into this position. Do you feel that that's something we're probably going to have to do again to get a qualified candidate?
So the officer that's leaving, his last day is the 30th of December. He came from Middleton Police Department, so he didn't really need a lot of training. Basically just streets, roadways, just how we do things at Shorewood. So he didn't have a lot of training that we had to put him through, which was nice for us. But the environment in law enforcement and hiring is not any better, and it's not a Shorewood Hills issue. It's an issue
No, I
in law
realize that.
enforcement where we just are not seeing the candidate pool. So because of our pay scale, our size sometimes doesn't help. We don't get the most qualified candidates, but we make them be great officers by putting them through training, getting them through the field training process. We have been very lucky the last couple of years hiring the officers that we have had. So we've been extremely lucky with that, but our candidate pool is very slim compared to what it used to be.
The other thing that I'd mention is I think that Jamie, you putting out there, both in our board meeting minute packet and in the bulletin, your monthly police report has been very effective. I've had residents come up to me and say, I had no idea of what the police force does. So I want to congratulate you on that. I think that you know, I know that takes you time to put together the most notable incidents, but it's really effective, I think. And I'm gonna guess that's part of the reason we haven't heard so much, is because people now understand that, hey, you know, I had heard comments before, for example, what are our police doing out in University Avenue when they could be in here catching all the speeders? Well, they're out there keeping, you know, these folks we don't want in the village from being in the village and picking up bad cases out there. So I again want to congratulate you and say I think that this has been really effective, and it's all about communication. If people understand it, they're with you, and we just not need to keep that presence, you know, your presence and your the value you bring in front of them, and that's where I think this committee, whatever we can do in the form of helping you with events or communication, that it's in all of our best interest to do that.
Thank you. And again, I have the most amazing team of officers and command staff. So it really is a team effort, and they're the ones that really deserve all the credit. So they're fantastic.
Don't sell yourself short. I know it's a team effort, but you've done a great job leading them. So, okay. Any more questions for Jamie before we move on to a discussion of the canine unit? Bill, you're suspiciously silent.
Too quiet.
He's too quiet. What's going on, Bill?
The whole everything going on these days is a little different than my experience 30, 40 years ago. And I think with Jamie having the courage and skill to communicate is most important currently, and to try more ideas. I'm really interested in the dog opportunities, especially if it's one that can do both police, quote unquote, work and being able to communicate with the kids and residents. So I think what the expectation would be really nice to have is if we is being able to do that. So my best wishes on that. But we're in a whole different era. I remember being paid less money per hour as a police officer than part-time bus drivers for the city bus. So we're up a little bit better than that.
I don't think we want to go back to that, Bill.
No, and I think that's the whole point, is that we need police officers that can reach out and compliment people for doing something good, as well as making the arrest for behavior that is contrary to law regarding safety and property. So it's a great opportunity to try additional new things. So I'm looking forward to Jamie continuing to move the whole concept of policing further along.
Excellent. Thank you, Bill. Jamie, if there's no other questions, should we have Jamie introduce us to the whole canine concept? All
Sure.
right, Jamie, the floor is yours.
Thank you. So back in April of 2024, there was an ad hoc committee that was created. Jeremy was on it, Bob was on it, couple other members, and it was really focusing on police recruitment and retention, what I've already kind of talked about with earlier with Jeremy's question. And one of the recommendations was to look at a canine unit moving forward. This would help with retention. I don't know if it would help necessarily with recruitment per se. It could, but retention, basically, officers want to feel like they have pride in something. They want to know special units. They want to be a part of something. And the canine unit would be a specialized unit. We wouldn't, it's not requiring an additional officer. The canine, sorry, my dog's playing with the toy. It would be, the dog would be assigned to an existing patrol officer, and there would be a heavily vetted interview process for that officer. And I'll get into that later. But basically, the type of dog that we're looking for is a single purpose dog. It would not be an apprehension dog. When you think of apprehension dog, you think of golden retriever, or German shepherds and Belgian Malinois. The dog that we're looking at would be either a Labrador or a golden retriever, something that's going to be friendly and approachable for people. The capabilities that we want to explore with this dog would be tracking and narcotics detection. So think of lost children, an increase in our elderly population. You're going to have more people with dementia and Alzheimer's. And I just know from experience and having to deal with people that like to wander off, having some sort of a dog to track them is a matter of life and death. So to have a single purpose dog, which is tracking and narcotics, not apprehension, is really what we're hoping for. Like I said, it would be assigned to the existing patrol officer. And again, it would be a non-bite dog. So it reduces the intimidation factor. It supports de-escalation and strengthens trust within the community. Officer Collicott, he's not able to be here right now. He was the one that was going to give this presentation, so I apologize, I'm a little rusty. But basically, the dog would be assigned to the officer. They would live with the handler. They would get constant care that would build the bond between the dog and the handler. There's going to be no direct impact on the village budget because we want to do this fully funded through donations. We really want the community to feel involved and have a sense of pride in saying, you know what, that's our police dog. I want that to be a community dog. So if we can get this going through donations and grants, there's going to be no impact to the village budget. The estimated startup cost, it's significant, but again, it's the startup cost. You would need the squad car specially outfitted for canine. You would have to get the canine, and then the officer would have to go to training. So the estimated startup cost is anywhere from $70,000 to $80,000, maybe more. And then you look at the annual maintenance, the vet care, supplies, food. We have that figured out already. We already have Spring Harbor Vet Clinic has agreed to do all of the vet care for the dog from routine checkups to dentals to vaccinations, minor surgeries, they will cover everything, which is phenomenal. Earthwise Pet Clinic, they are going to donate food for the canine. So we really have the main cost up front. We will have to continue to do fundraising, and we have ideas on how to do yearly fundraising events. But I really truly believe that this community wants to feel like a part of something. And what better way to do it with a dog? That's just my opinion. Um, but yeah, I think it's a great option for Shorewood. And the biggest thing, like Bill touched on, is our community, our community feel. We haven't had that in a while. And I think having something that the community feels like is theirs might bring people together and to really have a sense of pride in something. And this dog will go to the schools. It will be such a great community source that I just think it's a win-win. So that's all I have right now for the presentation. I know you guys got the packet. I don't have all the answers, but I can certainly get them if you have any questions.
Okay, I first want to acknowledge that Mike Schmeglich has joined us. Mike, welcome. Glad you're here. Glad you could make it.
Thanks. I was a little late because there was a Teams meeting link also. So I was sitting there waiting on Teams, and then I realized there was also a Zoom link. So I went to the wrong
I'm
meeting.
so sorry. I
Oh,
thought I
okay.
removed any kind of team, so I apologize, Mike. I'll make sure I double check that next time.
Okay, well, glad you could make it. And Katie, obviously, you've noted Mike is here. And did I see Rob, you raised your hand? Would you like to make a comment? You're
Yeah, I have a couple of questions. So thank you, Jamie, for that presentation, for this very nice packet that I think outlines the issue very well. I'm also glad to hear that about the funding situation for this, that it seems like it's not going to have a big impact on the village at all. So that's great to hear. So regarding the dog or the canine unit, you said that it will essentially only work with the officer that it's trained with. So is that like 100%? It would the canine would never be working with another officer on patrol, for instance. Like, for instance, if one of the officers is doing a traffic stop and they want to do a narcotics check, it's not like they can just go grab the canine unit from the police station or something like that, right? It would have to be that exact officer, the one officer who's trained with that canine unit. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Because when we get the dog, basically the handler that we choose will go down to the kennel and meet a bunch of dogs, and then the dogs that connect the best with that particular handler are the ones that we're going to focus on. So
Okay.
they have to build that connection and that bond, and then they go through a significant amount of training to be a canine handler. So it wouldn't be a viable option to just, okay, Jamie, it's yours, John, it's yours, Rob, it's yours. No, it's specific to one person. So there is that connection. The officer knows specific cues that the dog gives them when they hit on something. So yeah, it's the one person.
Great. And then my other question just kind of relates to the whole community aspect, and I can really see how that could be a big plus. So would this dog, be approachable, that little kids could come up and pet the dog, and would parents need to be concerned about whether, I'm sure the dog would be very well trained, but obviously, is that something that parents need to worry about if their child is going to come up. Do they need to keep the child away, or are children welcome to come up and pet the dog? Is that
Yeah, great question. My intention with going with the floppy-eared dog is that it's going to be more approachable, and better temperament for kids and people approaching. And that is my biggest thing, is to find a dog when and if we do get a dog, is to find that dog that is approachable, that people can come up and tug on the ears and pet it and not bite. Now it's an animal, there's
Mhm.
always going to be a chance that it could bite. That I think it would be silly for people to not think that that could never happen. But just like any other dog, when you let your kids go up, you should probably ask permission to pet it first. I think as long as we just continue to say it's a friendly dog, but always make sure to ask first before you just run up and pet a dog.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thanks.
Jamie, are there, you mentioned the budget going out to, having a $80,000 expenditure is significant. And I'd like to think that the community would come up with it, but are there other sources of funding, among police associations, the county, the state, anything that can help us there that we might be able to explore and help
Yep.
cover some of these costs?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a couple of grants that Sergeant Bartles has put in for to help cover the upfront cost of obtaining a canine, and unfortunately, we haven't been awarded any of those grants. I was a little hesitant to do grants because I wanted it to be more of a community feel, of a sense of pride and a sense of ownership. But we have looked at the grants and we just haven't been awarded. We haven't been awarded anything yet.
Okay, my next question was, can we, like, we're getting this new vehicle, is there major modification? Obviously gotta have room for a dog and suspects and I guess all that, in a vehicle. Would it require a whole new vehicle, or can we alter one of the vehicles to be able to do that?
Right now we would not have enough vehicles because it would need its own vehicle. It would need like a heating and cooling component in the back seat. It would need a kennel and a partition with the cage, and it's all outlined, I believe, in the packet that I gave you, the
And
proposal.
okay.
Yeah, so we would need, because that handler would drive to and from work, it would be a take-home squad. So we would definitely need an additional squad car. We just don't have, if we were to dedicate one car for a canine car, we would not have enough cars. We would have to get one.
Okay, I guess my last question is, and I know this is a hard one, but if you have a particular officer that's dedicated to this canine, this dog, and the officer decides to leave, what position does that put us in? And does it make sense to tie that dog to the, I guess, for lack of a better way to describe it, whoever might be here the longest? I mean, I guess that I'd hate to get in a situation where we got this dog, which I think is a great idea, but then we're 2 years down the road and the officer decides to leave for greener pasture, and then we don't have that connection. So is there a way that we can somehow deal with that?
Yep. So a lot of the agencies that do have canines, they make the officer sign a contract. So the contract is, we'll stay with this department through not the life of the dog, but the service of the dog. So think maybe 5 to 7 years is like the average for a police dog. So we
Okay.
would just make that officer sign a contract saying, I will be here through the service of the dog. Now, obviously, if an officer gets injured or, God forbid, falls ill and can't come back to work, there has been certain times where if we select a second handler, that second handler would have to retrain with that dog. Doesn't happen often, but it has happened in the past. But yeah, we would certainly consider first, is there anyone interested in being the canine handler? And I think there is at least two people that I can think of that would want it. Like I said, we would have to do some vetting to make sure that this officer is who we want to have this dog. Like, is there a fenced yard? Do they live in an apartment complex? These are all things that we need to think and consider. But yeah, certainly getting a contract with that officer, I think is fair, and I know other agencies do that as well.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions for Jamie on this? I guess one more question comes to mind. I would assume that to have the effect that you want, that whoever's assigned to this dog would largely be doing a day shift, right? To interact with residents, or
No,
not necessarily, or would it be?
my hope would be a second shift officer, so from 2:30 p.m. to 2:30 a.m. But there would be special events where the officer would come in and do school activities or some community events, so they would have the option to flex their schedule.
Okay.
Okay, so basically the idea would be we would want to gauge the opportunity to see if we could raise these funds, ideally from donations from village residents, maybe other resources. Again, I don't want to speak out of turn. Maybe I don't know if this is something the league could possibly help with, because I know they have at times discretionary funds for things. I don't know. But the sort of the aspiration is that we would not be creating a line item in the budget. Is that correct?
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
With the possible exception of the vehicle, correct? So the number you quoted, the 70 to 80,000, did that include the vehicle, Jamie, or is that a separate cost?
That includes the vehicle. So the vehicle would come out of donations as well.
I
So,
see.
yep.
So we're looking at a max of, I think you said 70 to 80, so,
Yep.
okay. Very good. Rob, go ahead.
Yeah, so I guess my question is, what are the next steps with this? Are you looking for approval of this committee, of the board? Can you start fundraising? What's kind of the timeline and the set of steps that you're looking to take with this?
Well, ideally it would be a blessing from you guys to have to take to the board. That's the next step, is if you guys recommend the approval of this, then I would take it to the board, and if and when we get approval from the board, then we would start the process of fundraising, and then trying to find fundraising would be the first thing. And then once we realize if we're getting close to the amount, then I would start the interview process with the handler.
Yeah, hearing that, I would think that, and Rob, as a former board member, you can chime in here, but it seems to me that if we approach the board with the concept of this to look into it, that the board is not gonna, I would hope that they would not vote it down. And, one of the problems with going to the board with a proposal and action is if it gets voted down, you can't address it for another year. That's in our policy. So I think if we immediately went and asked for $80,000, you know, it'd be more problematic. But it seems to me that if we went forward with a proposal to look into this and initiate a donation program to cover this, I can't see where the board would be against it. Rob, do you have an opinion on that?
Yeah, I think if we would have to approve, we would have to make a motion at a different meeting because this is a no action agenda item, is my understanding. So we'd have to do it probably
You're
next month.
correct. I
But if
listed
this
this as
committee were to
discussion
make a
only, so we're-
recommendation, yeah, so if this committee were to make a recommendation to the board, you know, it could just be a recommendation to allow, or, you know, to approve the concept of a K-9 unit and to allow the collection of donations. You know, I feel like that's a pretty low bar for the board to get over. So that might be something that could be done.
Any other thoughts on that? I think that would be my recommendation is so we would wait maybe till next month in January, and we'll list this item as an action item to recommend to the board to investigate the feasibility of a K-9 unit for Shorewood Hills Police Department. And so then it would probably be February before the board approved that and go ahead.
Then I
maybe-
think we'd have to
maybe
figure out,
January.
like, if that was the way it went forward, we'd have to figure out some mechanism to sort of raise the funds, like, you know, either through the village directly or through the league. I don't know.
Well, I think that's to be investigated, Jeremy. I think that what we're gonna ask the board is, do we have your blessing to go ahead and start to investigate that, look into what, you know, what possibilities exist. We're not asking for absolute approval, only the approval to investigate it, I guess.
Right.
Rob?
Just from a practical standpoint, I think we should be careful how we word this, and saying that we want the board to investigate this issue, or we're going to continue to investigate this issue. I think it's better to come to the board saying we've done the homework, and should this committee choose to make the recommendation, that it's a well-researched recommendation. So it's a little bit of a nuance difference.
I agree.
If you understand I feel like we should have a well fleshed out discussion at the next meeting, and then make sure that, you know, that the board understands that this is a recommendation that's on solid ground.
Yeah, I guess I would say that we need to take what Jamie's put together and put it into a form that the board can understand, and that has, you know, maybe it's a 1-page, here's what we recommend and here's what we expect going forward. That's I think that's a good way to go forward, Rob. Jeremy, you had your hand up?
Yeah, I just wanted to get a reminder from you, Bob, about this ad hoc committee that I know a lot of us participated on in various meetings. Like, did a report of some sort, you know, back prior to Jamie's retention actually come before the trustees at any moment? I don't recall how that all played out. I know there was no action taken, but it would if there was a discussion or a memorialization of that ad hoc committee's work that was presented to the trustee board, I think that would be good to know.
Yeah, I think there was, Jeremy. Carol wrote quite a comprehensive report.
Yeah.
To what extent the K-9 unit was in there, I would have to go back and look at that, but I certainly will do that. And,
Yeah, that would be great.
I know it exists.
Yeah, I have it. I can forward it to you guys.
Okay.
And for some
Thank you.
reason, I don't think I got, if, unless I'm missing where the packet is, I got the email from you, Bob, about with the agenda, but I don't think I got the embedded packet unless that came from someone else.
Well, it was put on the website by Katie.
Got it. Okay, it's on the website. I just
So
didn't know.
I think in any case, yeah, I don't necessarily send out the packet materials. What I do is submit them to, in this case, to Katie.
And then they're posted publicly.
Then they're
properly.
posted, so if you go to the calendar, then you should have the latest.
Great.
Before there,
Thank
I
you.
think that's the most sensible way to go about it.
Great. Thank you so much.
Any other discussion on this? Any other thoughts by anybody? Okay, well, I think that I'm going to suggest that Rob, since you opened your mouth, you and I will work with Jamie to try to put together something for the board. Does that sound, am I putting you too much on the hook?
I'd be happy to work with you on that, Bob.
Okay, great. Jamie, I assume you're good with that?
Let's do it.
All right, so the three of us will try to put something together to have some sort of document for next month. For our meeting, that with the intention that that would go forward to the board for consideration so we can start to pursue this potential opportunity. All right. Anybody else have any thoughts? Mike, Bill?
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing what we can put together on this, and be sure to point out the types of opportunity it would be for an animal to be able to help take care of our residents as they mature or get old, and help find kids that get lost. I mean, I can remember one of my first nights on that I happened behind what's now, what was the Brickyard, and had a couple of kids drinking out there. And fortunately, I was out walking that night because we had to haul one off to the hospital. We were the ambulance at the time, and got the other one to get home. He was able to move himself along. If we had another lost, misappropriated behavior couple of guys, a dog would be really, really helpful for other opportunities to help village residents in family problems, that sort of thing. I would strongly recommend that we put forth the effort to get this added to a police department and show other departments the opportunities for even small departments to be leaders in good policing, positive policing.
Thank you, Bill. Any thoughts, Jim? Mike? Thank you, Jim.
Yeah, I think it sounds like a great thing to move forward with, and I definitely agree with all the potential benefits. And I'm just thinking about my own 3 and 5-year-old and the impact that would have on them, and they'd be thrilled to support this as well.
Okay, excellent. Well, I don't want to rain on the parade, but I just lost our dog today, so I fully appreciate. Yeah,
Sorry about
wonderful.
that, Bob. That's too bad. That's sad.
it's we had to put our golden doodle down today, and
Wow.
very emotional thing for the family. And so these are wonderful creatures that really touch our hearts, and I think that this would be a great addition if we can make it work. I think it'd be wonderful for the community, especially given Jamie's personality and the police force that we have. I think this could be really a great thing. So I'm all in support. Anything else for the good of the order? I think we're down to future agenda items. Is there anything that anybody would like to see on a future agenda? I think the plan would be that we would meet again in January on the 4th. It would be January 27th, the 4th Tuesday at 7 p.m. Rob?
Well, I'm sorry, I have 3 agenda items that I'd like
Okay.
to put on the agenda at a future meeting.
Okay.
So the first is resident assistance with fire hydrant snow removal.
Yes. And
And
let
I
me
can-
just interrupt and say before you go on to the next ones that I did bring this up in Public Works. And I am waiting. I think I need to nudge Tim from Town and Country and Terry Henshek about getting a list of the locations of our fire hydrants. There are some 98, I think, in the village. I don't know what sense you got. I didn't communicate with the resident. I just got an email. I'm not sure if you talked, I think it was a her, whether or not she was gonna try to lead this effort to try to get volunteers or whether she expected the village to do that. But I think the next step is we get a sense of where these hydrants are, and then try to create some type of list. And we can do that here, or we can do it in Public Works. It doesn't really matter, but I just wanted you to know it came up in Public Works.
Yep. Yeah, I just want to make sure that that suggestion is being taken care of by either this committee or Public Works. The second one is high-speed electric vehicles like bikes and scooters on multi-use paths. This is another recommendation from a resident.
I will interject again and say that in Public Works, we have been discussing this since your absence, Rob. Bob Colbert has kind of taken the lead on it, I think with your urging before I got on the committee. And yeah, so that's why I'm hoping that you will be back involved, if not as a committee member, as a resident, to keep reminding us of that. So again,
Sure, I
that
know
was on the agenda.
I know, one of the things discussed is whether there should be a speed limit on a multi-use path, say 20 miles an hour or whatnot. And I believe that would require a ordinance in this committee. So I'm just raising that potential point. So
Okay. Well, I will make sure before you go on to your third thing, because my mind can't keep track more than half a thing at once. But we will. We did discuss the speed limit, and I think the thought was 15, but there was some question about because the village has the bike lane from down by the golf course up to University Bay Drive or whatever. We wanted to make sure that we were consistent with Madison, and I'm not sure that they have speed limits now. I think that was some of the question, and you're more in tune in this than I am. I think that as I recall from the committee, the sense was that our first step would be to try to put up signs that encouraged behavior that, so people realize that this is not a bike lane, it's a community lane, and there's people walking and people biking, and you should slow down and you should use signals and you should let people know. And so I think my sense was that the committee could look at signage there and maybe address the speed limit as a secondary issue, more to make sure that we were consistent with our adjoining municipality. So that's what I recall, but we can certainly, we'll be looking at that at the next Public Works meeting.
Great. And then the last one, which I believe we brought up at the last meeting, which was just the Safe Streets for All grant award. Just because I haven't heard anything. I don't know if there's anything to talk about there.
I haven't heard a thing. The last thing was that there was a glimmer of hope, somebody, but at this point, a year and a half out, I'm not very optimistic. I feel like we're probably gonna have, whatever we do, we're gonna have to do on our own. In Public Works, it did come up, and I know one of the things that we wanted to look at in the Safe Streets for All was Locust Drive and how to deal with the bike lane and pedestrian lane and such there, which was a fairly expensive item, $300,000 to $500,000 or something to repave that and realign it. We were hoping to do that with the Safe Streets for All, but perhaps we need to start investigating other avenues. And I know Tim, Steve is on top of that from Town and Country, so he's keeping an eye on grants and stuff and what we might be able to take advantage of. So, yeah. Jim.
We have traditionally our just monthly review of police call reports and the quarterly EMS and fire reports when they come out. Possibly the chief can let us know whether the 2025 summary for the police department would be out for this meeting. And if not, I would say we suggest we swap out potentially our monthly police call report and just review what we see for the annual report when we get that. Chief, when do you expect? Yep.
So our annual report usually comes out around April or May. A lot goes into that, but I can bring statistics to the next meeting. I'll get those in January. So you guys can have an idea of what our call volume was. But the annual report itself will be out in April or May.
I think we can wait personally for your usual procedure for doing that. But that would just be our usual on the agenda, Bob, is just our monthly police call reports. And when we get the quarterly EMS and fire reports, Katie, David would usually forward those on to us, but the village receives from the city of Madison quarterly EMS and fire reports. And just seeing that those go on to Bob would be useful.
Okay, I'm gonna make a note and just make sure that I'm not sure what David set up before he left, but I'll make a note so I can check in with Chrissy and everyone tomorrow to see if that's something that I need to reach out to them and connect on and make sure we can get that to you guys on time.
Yeah,
I'm sure
that
they're
was my
sending.
question, Jim. Did you usually bring those forward, Jim, or was that through David that you got that?
We got
I
that
know you kind of
from,
took the lead on that.
yeah, we got those from David, and then I would just basically do the highlight from what we received from them. And I'm sure the city of Madison is sending the reports to someone in the village. So just finding out who that might be. Bob, could you update us on just the wonderful Public Health and Service Bulletin articles and whether we need to do anything and whether you want to have that on the agenda again?
Yeah, well, I guess that's languished a little bit. I did set up a Google spot, and I know, Jim, you put some in. I had asked everybody on the committee to submit some reports, and Katie, what we've done in the past is we started to put together some articles, health and safety articles that could go in the bulletin, the monthly bulletin, wear sunscreen in the summer, don't fall through the ice, you don't fall on the ice, health and safety sort of issues.
So
And
David
so-
actually was super awesome and he did share that with me because I am
Okay.
supposed to be trying to take on some of the bulletin. Hopefully January we'll get our first issue out, but he did share that with me. So if you guys are continuing to update or put anything in there, I am checking that as I'm putting the bulletin together.
Okay, well, Katie, feel free to get a hold of me if you feel like there's not something there and you need some help. I know that Jim has put together some stuff that we have sitting waiting. The intention is that we stay a few months ahead so that you always have something that we can feed you to put into the bulletin and not put undue work on you, but just more to submit that we would do the writing and put that stuff together.
That's
And-
perfect. No, I appreciate that. Thank you. It's
but
very
if you
helpful.
can figure out kind of the logistics of, how we, well, we'll get it to you and you figure out how to get it in the bulletin. How's that? Okay, excellent, excellent. Thank you, Katie. Jim?
And then just one more item. And then before I get to that, Katie, feel free to edit for size and content however you choose and using other resources. They're intended to assist and not be at all what needs to go in there.
Love
Right.
that, Jim. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Right, yeah, we submit you something and it's too long or it's too complicated, just get back to us and, we'll work with you to get it to fit appropriately for whatever bulletin you're doing or what's happened.
And then one of the standards we usually have on our meetings is just supporting the staffing, training, and financing for Shorewood Hills Police. And so, we probably will always have some update. Maybe it would be wonderfully someone stepped up and now we're filling the other position so some variation of supporting the staffing, training, and financing for Shorewood Hills Police. Thanks.
Thank you, Jim, for reminding me of that. I think I'd fallen down on the job a little bit, but anyway,
You're
I
doing great,
encourage
Bob.
everybody on the committee to, if you have some thoughts about any kind of safety bulletin, safety issue, it doesn't need to be a page and a half long. It could be, a couple of paragraphs. I just want to make sure our presence is known, so.
And I put that link in the chat for our group right now, just so everybody's reminded for what it is, if it's visible to people.
Okay. Thank you for that, Jim. Any other items? So Rob, we can talk about all those three things at the upcoming meeting. It's not exclusive to Public Works, so if we have relevant discussion here, that'll be fine. So I'll just keep everybody up to date with what's happening from Public Works, but I'll put those on there, and I will retain in the future agenda items continual monthly police call reports and quarterly EMS fire reports, just so that's always on the agenda if we need to discuss it. Any other thoughts?
In our next meeting, could you just remind a date again, as I've just now kicked open my
I
calendar?
have January 27th.
Thank
That's
you.
what I have.
Is that good with everybody?
Mhm.
I know we've been back and forth and we've been early in the month, late in the month. I've tried to establish it as the fourth Tuesday, because I look back at historically and that seemed to be where the meeting was held at most frequently, and I don't know. Anyway, I did, and we've missed meetings and I know everybody's been confused. I've been confused and but are we good with the fourth Tuesday of every month until otherwise we want to change? Okay, good. All right,
Move we adjourn.
Bill, you beat me to it. Do we have a second? Somebody needs to raise their hand.
You had both Jeremy and Mike raise their hands.
Oh, they were both off my screen. Sorry,
Yeah.
guys. Okay. Well, Katie, take your pick, Jeremy or Mike.
Jeremy's name was spoken first, so we're gonna go with Jeremy.
Okay. And the last thing I would want to discuss is just to say that I wish you guys all a happy holiday and a happy new year.
You too. Thanks
Yeah.
for everything, Bob.
And thank you for all of you for attending. It's invigorating to work on these committees. I will say the board has been a challenge lately, but working with the committees is certainly satisfying for me, and I appreciate all the time you guys put into this and your good ideas and your thoughtful appreciation of the village. So
Thank you.
Well, right back at you, Bob. And I just want to say that we're thinking about you and your family after your puppy and everything. And we're sending
Well,
you
thank
lots
you.
and lots of extra love and everything today.
there's
Yeah. And what was the golden doodle's name?
Yeah. Thank you, guys. All right.
Okay.
We
Good
have the
health,
motion
everybody.
we need to vote on adjournment. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. You're
Bye-bye.
appreciated.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Bye-bye.